and they called it ragtime. And it was the birth of the music industry, selling his sheet music for a penny a page. And he wasn't getting a dime of it. Old sharecropper agreements. You created and we gonna capitalize on it. Benjamin Franklin discovered electricity with a key on a kite, and he didn't get fried. Make that shit make sense. Because he sure would have been fricassee. He would have been roast cracker. If that motherfucking lightning would have hit the key with that string on there. He forgot lightning followed the path of least resistance. The key becomes a conductor and the electricity shoot both ways up the string. And we supposed to believe that shit? The first automobiles being made over here, they credited to a paleface. But it was brothers who was already driving cars in the 1800s first. They the ones who was creating those crank up engines. They still got the flyers. You can find the flyers from the brothers' cars that was back then. They want us to not know who we is, but we always know our handiwork if we the salt of the earth. What do salt do to your food? Don't it balance out all the flavors? Okay, so what do we use to balance out the society? We use arts and entertainment. And this is how they brought the sharecropper agreement into the entertainment industry. So they can capitalize on the natural expression of the people and monetize that shit for they self and they self gain. We do have every race in the genome of the Dark Mother. Right. What we call races, they're not races. They tribal genetic types. Right. But the term race is applied to the game of the gods in trying to race to the conclusion of the closing of the age. So when we use in the races in terms like melding pot, one drop of blood, stuff like this, they're telling us in code what's taking place. So this takes us to what Bobby Hemmett calls the great debauchery, where the natural evolutionary process of humans was interrupted by scientists in the laboratory that caused genetic mutations. You're going to notice in about 20 years that mutations are going to start to decrease because all of those mutations now are under scrutiny by the mitochondria, who is the factor that clears up genetic defects in Y chromosomes and X chromosomes. But the Y chromosome specifically, because a lot of the defects came in riding on the Y chromosome based on what was done in the laboratory. They altered the genetic structure of humans to keep them perpetual slaves and never have a right to ascend to higher consciousness. What happens when they try to ascend to higher consciousness is the body begins to deteriorate and break down. Excuse me. A prime example is Stephen Hawkins. He was only left brain. He never activated his right brain. Because his intellect was so high, he didn't have the right brain to offset the rapid firing of the neurons in the space of the silver liquid. The silver liquid is the liquid that your cerebral spinal fluid pump at birth. As you develop, you're supposed to develop into where you're pumping a right brain, left brain simultaneous pump and draws up what's called the sacred secretion from the root chakra all the way up to the brain. This in turns make the silver liquid become gold in color. And when it does that, the right brain abstract creativity of the mother side of the brain. In the Queen's chamber sits the pineal gland that received the psychic impressions from source. So what they did in the laboratory with the people is turned off right brain reactivity by genetic splicing of the DNA. When they done that, now we are under a judgment from Prime Creator for violating the rules in the free will universe. The will of a group of people has been undermined by scientists in the laboratory that prevents them from natural rights of ascension. In the same text that tell us about this genetic defects, the Sumerian tablets, it also tells us that the remedy for the problem is to give them the blood of the gods. They ain't talking about the men, they talking about the sisters. Because she is the genome corrective analysis comes through the mitochondria. But she first have to assess the genome. Right? And assessing the genome, when at the close of the age, you get the source codes in, they already came in, the women now holding the source codes that will correct all of the defects that was created in the laboratory. So now everybody will have the equal rights of ascension. And this is why they told us the Jesus story the way that they told it to us, because the blood of the Christ is the blood of the anointed, because Christ means anointed. And the anointed ones are the original dark mothers of the earth. So this is why all of these people are coming over here, because this is where source blood was at its highest potency on the planet. The tribes from this land. And we also had intermixed with the Asians and the Africans, so we already had they genetic codes too, right? So now when the new people come, they need the drop of blood in order to break the cycles of the infinity loop. And this is the conquest of the great debauchery in the experiments done on people in laboratories that was repugnant to the Great Mother. There's stories written about it in hieroglyphics, right? And
do you believe that the birth of civilization, that humans or whatever, that they came from one place in one region?
It was spontaneous around the planet.
Okay, I just wanted to be clear.
Yeah, the women have always been here. The men are the newest of the genders.
Yes.
Women used to produce with parthenogenesis until a collection of women decided to produce men as a counterbalance. Let's go to cut to the chase on the DNA test. The fine print say it's for entertainment purposes only.
Okay.
So the DNA test says for entertainment purposes only, right? So that means that whatever it is, if it's for entertainment purposes only, it can be altered to fit the narrative that they're using as the entertainment. It's like wrestling being the outcome is determined. It don't matter what happened in the match, the outcome is determined. So the 21andMe, if you go back to Henry Louis Gates, he told you when Oprah went to Africa, she said on the news broadcast that she was Zulu. His friend called him up while they was doing her DNA test. Since they making it up as they go anyway, this is literally what he said. Since we making it up as we go anyway, just make her Zulu. And when her DNA test came out, they found out she was Zulu. They got to tell you what they're doing. They got to put it in the public domain so you can locate it, so that you can show what you're talking about when you tell people that it's an entertainment, and the entertainment is the slave narrative. To disassociate the people. It's the same with reparations. The only reparations we want is to get our shit back, because we back for everything they owe, but they just so happen to owe us everything. They won't have nothing to give us for reparations after that. right? They all fabricated, built up on a legal fiction, a house of cards. And when you get the root card, the whole house comes tumbling down. Fruit of the poison tree doctrine in law.